We call this meeting of the Police and Fire Committee to order. We've got several things on here today. The first thing I've got on here is about the radio. So I'm gonna let Wayne, with OEM, talk to us about that. As you can see, there's a binder, so I didn't send all this out. But I'm gonna give you a quick overview and then let Wayne explain the rest. Basically, our radio system for the sheriff's department is at end of life, meaning they can't even buy batteries for their portables anymore. They have two that cannot be repaired. Used to, they could send them in, help them refurbish, they would send them back, they were new radios. They got two that they can't even get repaired. So it's going to be a major overhaul because it's not only sheriff's department, they're using ANNEX system. This also affects our small fire department and the ability to communicate with ambulances as well. And when Leachville got hit, we saw that we had a major problem not being able to speak with the ambulances because three drove right by the fire department. We had two people waiting for an ambulance to be transported. Wayne?
Yes, sir. What we're going to be asking for is a project that will upgrade the radios for almost all of the radios for the sheriff's department and the consoles and dispatch. We'll be upgrading the dispatch radios, their computer systems, everything, including the furniture. In addition, we'll be getting new radios for the new portable and handheld radios for the sheriff's department, for the cars and the sheriff's deputies. And included in this package is some AWIN radios for all of the fire departments in the county, so that we can increase the interoperability and communication in case of a large event. All the fire departments do have AWIN radios, but they were purchased when the first Homeland Security money came through, which was what, 05, 06? And so those things are way beyond end of life. You can't get spare parts for them. Plus, with the way the AWIN system is evolving, with how they're doing the frequencies, those things will not be able to efficiently communicate in the future. So I'm asking for to upgrade almost all of the public safety radios in the county that I can affect.
Okay.
You want, yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Let me tell you something first. You want to tell them about what this is going to cost?
Oh.
$1.54 million.
But if we need it, we need it.
Well, this
I mean,
is,
like you said, it's covering everything.
it is covering, we have 15 fire departments in the county. We'll be providing basically 3 radios to 13 of those departments. Every sheriff's department portable will have to be replaced, every mobile unit, and they have 50 cars, so there's 50 radios there. You're gonna have to replace the radios even that sit in the sheriff's department that attach to their console.
Mm-hmm.
There's 12 radios alone in the sheriff's department. So when they dispatch for the smaller departments, and there's no police departments included, but they dispatch for a lot of times, it's Manila, Leachville,
Right.
Gosnell, Wilson. So they're going to end up having to update their radios, but that's going to be on them.
We've upgraded everything, and we need the radios.
Well,
We need to upgrade them.
as he said, these radios were originally purchased in 2005.
Yes.
Usually their technology is good for about 5 years. But as you can see, we've gotten, 17 years out of these.
That's not only for their safety, it's for the public's and everybody's.
Well,
to be able to
how many do
contact
you
each
have
other.
that are not working at all that you can't?
4 or 5 that I,
And the sheriff has 2 that he cannot, or Morgan told us there's 2 portables that they can't even get fixed.
Is that 5 when we went to A-Woods?
Well, I don't think we fully went to A-Win because we had our own frequency for a while. But we went to A-Win in what year?
It was, before I came on board a little bit, but 45 of these radios are going to fire departments.
Well, that makes me sound old because I remember when that all happened.
Well, I remember when A-Win came out.
I am old.
Lionel got a couple of them, and the patrol commander had to put one in his car. And I didn't sure have one in my car, and I was a patrol commander. But, the thing about A-Win is it allows for a mutual aid channel, which they can talk from here to Texarkana on the radio. Now, anybody knows about radios, you normally can't do that. These are set up with repeaters all across the state.
These new ones?
Yeah,
that
we
you're talking
discussed
about?
it this morning. There are 3 repeaters that serve
There's one in the
Mississippi
edge,
County.
there's one in the edge of Crittenden County, one in Burdett, one over around Monette, isn't that right?
yes, sir,
The one that was in Monette was destroyed the night of the tornado.
yes.
So that is a state-run system. These radios just operate on that system.
These new ones you're talking about, right?
Well,
Well, the old
even the old
Oh, the
ones,
old
but they're to the point where they're, as he said, I'll let you explain that technology thing.
Well, every radio takes up a bit of bandwidth to transmit and to receive. Now, one of the things they can do with the A-Win is they can basically cut that in half. They call it narrow banding, so that you can have more radios on the same amount of frequency, same amount of spectrum. Well, these older radios, and it's a software update, the older radios can't support that software update.
A lot of
The
times,
newer ones will, and plus, they'll be able to support,
a lot
because
of times it's just like your telephone. You
Right,
get a
your
new
iOS
phone,
gets so old.
your old phone won't support a new
Right.
app.
right. And so, and with the amount of A-Win users increasing, they're probably going to have to narrow band again in the future, and these radios should be able to support that.
So they'll be updatable for many, many years, hopefully,
Yes,
with the new technology.
Here's the thing, right now, they got this for 1.5 million, as you know, 5 4 million. As you know, with the price increases we're seeing across the board, what we're worried about is if we wait until the new budget year, how much of an increase will we see? With enlisted inflation at 8%, we all know that that's not actually what the inflation numbers are. Because they admit that they don't include fuel, and I don't think they include food and inflation numbers, but we're gonna see more increases throughout the year. If we order these, they're under contract. So,
Availability, are they in stock now or projected? And I know,
I don't think they have every single piece of this proposal in stock at this moment, but their pipeline is going, so we wouldn't be waiting for installation on any piece.
as Morgan said, we would be looking at, probably 6 months to get it all in and get it all installed. But if we wait till January,
that's
we're
We're
gonna
waiting,
be another
right,
6
you're just
months.
getting put, right, everything's that way.
I'm trying not to.
You know, and I believe this one should be available under replacement funds. I don't, because it is something that we're gonna have to do eventually, no matter what we use now.
Right, the biggest issue with using the replacement funds is we go back to having to deal with, it's a lot of little moving pieces, and you have to deal with, what was the terminology? Accounting for when they're taking them out of commission or out of service, I can't remember what the term we're using.
And odds are, I agree with him, that life is probably, they're gonna say 5 years, but we're probably gonna get 10 to 15, maybe 20 years, probably not, but, so this is not something that we'll do
I don't know
once
what it
and be done.
Right.
And they are available for upgrades to them.
I'm sure they will be for a while.
For a while, okay.
So basically, this is the latest and greatest that's available at this time.
Yes, sir.
We're not getting,
We're not buying cheap and hoping that it holds up.
Right.
You know, it's something
We're not
that
buying
should
cheap.
last us for.
Are these gonna have any like service charges, or you know how sometimes like with these technology things, everything requires a service contract for upgrades? Is it, are they gonna have that after this 1.0, you know?
It's in that 1.5. It's in that.
For 5 years,
Like
for
the
5
service
years.
agreement is for, okay.
Yeah.
But that is probably limited in a 5-year.
Yes.
Yes.
You have a question?
So are you trying to make a decision in this committee whether or not to
Well,
move it to the replacement committee or,
I guess.
I mean, I'm not on the police and fire, I'm on the replacement committee.
I guess that would be the question, do we move it to ARP or do we move it straight to finance?
Can since you said that, now I want to jump in. So we talked to Lindsay way before it was ever called replacement funds. Okay, when it was just straight ARP, and at that point it was not an acceptable use. Okay, now they loosened it up. It's called replacement funds. So I recommend taking it through the consultant just to make sure.
Well, I think that would have to come out of the replacement fund. I mean, I don't know if we got the money in general fund without it. I think we do, but I'm gonna leave that to y'all, where you wanna send it to, and let them discuss it. If we wanna go with the replacement funds, we probably need to send it over to the ARP committee.
I think we should. With our consultant, we'll know right off the bat.
ARP will make that.
I think we're in a position to do it.
We have a motion.
Are you gonna let me make it now?
I just wanted to know what you were making a motion of before you did it.
I was all ready for new radio.
Well, I am too, but I want everybody to have all the
Like you
info
said.
before we do.
I know it's expensive and everything's expensive nowadays, but I mean, this is lives we're talking about too.
It is,
You can't replace the
and
lives.
it's not just sheriff's department,
That's
this
right.
is
It helps the entire
ambulance,
community.
it's fire, so that's why Wayne presented this part of it.
So done?
So we're moving it to the ARP,
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I hope y'all got a copy of the agenda that was sent out, cause I'm gonna go right through it. We discussed radios and, Sheriff, do you want an update on the cars? I've got a list of it here. I'll let you talk on it if you want to. I prefer to.
Okay, we had in the previous budgets, 6 cars a year, and a few months ago, the foreign court decided, whether these other funds available to try to plus up some more vehicles, and, moving forward now with that, it was, $880,000 in the, original 22 budget. The foreign court changed it to $556,000, which adds these other vehicles, would be 18 vehicles, and I think, 2 of those were accident replacements with insurance. So, with the changes that the foreign court did to the equipment and the vehicle budget, they put it in there to get 18 vehicles. Now that, at that time, we talked to, Rick Layton down at Landers in Little Rock, went ahead and placed an order. He had, if you all remember, he had, like 10 vehicles, I think, at the time, extra ordered that he did. He always orders some extra at the end of the year, or during the year in his ordering process. And then somebody's gonna buy them, right? So we bought those, or committed to those back several months ago. None of them are in yet. I think 12 or 13 came into Little Rock this week. And, we haven't picked any of them up yet. We're planning on picking some of those up this next week, and transporting 4 of them down to, Perryville to have the equipment installed. So, and then some, we had 4 vehicles, cars ordered. Well, Chrysler is not gonna build them, is what I'm hearing now. They're making changes to their, plant, what they're doing, so we're gonna have mostly Dodge Durangos, with a couple of trucks. And then they even switched, one of those out to a black one. Now, these that Rick was having built, those 10 original ones they don't have carpet in them, they just got rubber floor mats. I think 3 of the vehicles we ordered, out of our regular budget, had carpet put in, which was only $150 extra. So, the bulk of these are base models. So we should have those before the end of the year. Like they've got 13 down there now.
The white Dodge will not be built, the white Dodge pickup will not be built until December. So that means it's probably not gonna be in before the end of this
23, most likely. They've got one white Dodge in estimated arrival in December, one black vehicle arrival in August. One black truck's supposed to be in transit to Little Rock, and then they've got 13 in Little Rock of what he had ordered. 2 more cars that we had on order, they're probably not gonna get built. I mean, it's just the way it is with the pipeline and the parts and all that stuff, so we'll probably be fortunate if we get 15 out of the original 18 that we ordered. But I just want to bring you all up to date where we're at on vehicles, of what was passed in the foreign court. And that's basically the vehicle update. Unless the chairman had something else to add.
No, I just want to make sure that they know that one of them won't even arrive till probably after June. If they build it this summer,
Probably
you're
gonna be
looking
on
at 4 6
months.
weeks shipping. So we may have to ask the, full court or the finance committee to renew part of this into next year so that we can finish out this year's, and we'll order some more at the end of the year to replace other vehicles next year. But it could be as late as August and September before we even get some of these that we're expecting. Any questions? This is more of an update than anything else. I just wanted you to know why things are going the way they are. The fact that they had 13 hit the ground makes it tough for the sheriff's department, because they can't just take 13 people down there and drive them all back. So they're gonna have to try to schedule where they can go get probably 4 or 5, and all of the equipment is not in yet. So they're gonna have to get that scheduled and over prepared to get it installed.
AP's not driving.
Well, I started off with this morning, but I said, no. Okay. There's no question. If you see on there, I've got a boiler listed. We have had a boiler go out in the jail. And this is an update. They have the money in their budget to take care of it. But this provides the hot water. Is the hot water for the jail?
Yes.
Is that what it provides? And they've looked at fixing it. It's a heat exchanger that has went out. $12,000 to fix it, $21,000 to put a brand new one in. We both know that they're gonna have to take the whole thing completely apart to put the heat exchanger in it. Next thing we'll go out and get a computer or
And this one will have a new warranty.
yes. I don't know what that warranty is, but the old ones were put in about 6,
7 years ago. And instead of having to tear this apart just to pull the heat exchanger out and have all that labor and put it back in, all that, the other option was to just take the whole package out, put a new one in, so you get it all in. But the
probably a faster fix that way
So
also.
that's right. I mean, just to replace it and then everything else in it is still 7 years old roughly. Was 12,206 versus 21,368. So we discussed it today. Everybody thought it was better just to take the whole package out, put a new package in it, and everything's new instead of just one piece. So
So that's more of an update than anything.
that's an update also, we have that in our budget, we just wanted to be transparent in the, going forward.
Any questions for the sheriff on that one? As you know, the county has went to voice over IP on the phones. Last meeting, we approved some money to upgrade cabling in the OCL courthouse for those phone systems. Well, a lot of us thought $4,000 was expensive. Well, get ready. They have 4 bids. The cheapest one being about $77,000
For the sheriff
for the sheriff's department.
to go voice over IP.
Yes, the problem is this jail was, I looked at the site today, so I can play this. The jail was built in '99. Cat 5 was the top of the line at that time. And as Morgan explained to me the other day, and I'm sure the sheriff could back this up, they're barely limping by with what the computers that they're running on now. They're afraid if they put voice over IP, it'll just crash the system. This would include some, now what I'm gonna do is send y'all this package. And I think we're gonna try and wait and just do this in next year's budget, but we need to start being prepared for that. Because we're only 3 months from budget starting. We usually start in September. But, the cheapest was about $77,000, the most expensive was around $90,000. Some of that will be fiber optic line because of the runs that they have, the length. Cat 6E won't even handle it. So it won't be fast enough to run. So they're gonna be looking at that and talking about it. I'll send the proposals out to all of you. And the thing that we have to keep in mind is, once again, do we wanna look at it, or is the price gonna go up? What are we gonna do?
What's the difference between, I mean, whatever they're running their phone lines now on just old regular phone lines versus voice over IP? What will they be able to do differently with voice over IP phone lines that they can't do with the phone lines that they have now?
No idea. I don't get the difference. Somebody else can explain that.
I can't explain it myself, Morgan, he had.
I mean, I know it makes your phones computerized, I mean, I have voice over, so I understand that, I'm just, they're like currently having any issues with what they have and can't do something they need to do
This
because
is
of
a
what they have.
contract that the county judge signed.
Okay, so
Tom might know more about it, but I didn't know until I got called until
okay, so to answer the question of what they can do, I do not know the technical, so I can't speak to that. I can tell you that Norris came to us and talked about the needs, for all the different, ANNEX and all the places. And he said that it had formerly been that all these kind of things were done as a whole. The county switched as a whole. Okay, now that's in the past, according to Norris. So that's the way we followed through. And then whenever we caught and saw, the way that the billing happened or whatever to other services, and then we said, okay, well now, like the sheriff's department, hold on a second. So we contacted Ritter and come out of that, because then we realized we was actually stepping into some other things other than just this. And so it was Norris's recommendation that it should be done as one. That way it's all compatible, it's all the same, it's all kind of what the technical details of it, I don't know.
I mean,
So the phones, technically, they're already committed. I know the cabling is not, and some of the things that for your specific department's not.
so the phones are already committed for the sheriff's department?
For the county.
the entire county.
Okay,
Because it was originally done as a county.
okay. The contract was
And this is
done-
based on our IT consultants telling us, what to do.
Okay. That sounds like we opened up a can of worms and didn't have all the information. Are you having
I'm
any
sorry,
problems
my
whatsoever?
IT guy's not here. You got-
That's all right. I mean, but that you're aware of, are you having any problems with your dispatchers or whatever, any issues with phones communication?
there is some, but I'll have to let Morgan explain it all.
Okay.
Like I say, okay, we're already under contract for the phones. Will it matter if we wait till to the new budget to do this, or is this something that we can be moving on now?
It's something that I want to step out of and and we can find out from Norris and all that.
I'm not on this committee, so.
We don't, any of us seem to know what we're talking about,
Can we
so.
table
Well, we
it?
followed,
Hear from
and
Morgan.
in all fairness, we followed the advice of the IT person that was hired to tell us what we needed to do.
It's our IT person then.
Right.
Just tell
Norris.
No, it's an
Well-
external, it's an external.
But he's under contract for the county to tell us.
them. Okay.
I'm not gonna.
I'm out of the loop on this, so.
Well,
Somebody in the business of selling stuff is who's told us that we need to do.
I understand, yes, but his, I'm not even sure he bid on it. I'd have to look and make sure.
Okay.
I know one of the bids is from River, I know one is from NET, and there are two from out of town.
Okay.
So, you know, I say it starts at, right at 70, it goes up to one of those, not over 90.
Well, I mean, I'm familiar with switching because I've done this personally myself, and there are some things that you cannot do with old phone lines that you can do with voice over IP. However, I also have dealt with the fact that I switched everything voice over IP and then realized that there are some things that you can't do right on voice over IP, and I had to switch a fax line back because of some problems. So that's why I'm asking those questions. I've been there, done that.
I don't deal with phones unless this is my extent of what to deal with phones anymore. Yeah, my thing is, I guess we need to ask Norris. You know, come talk to
Right, I
us
would think so that he
You
would.
get Morgan here too.
Yes.
on it, so we'll just try to
We'll
reschedule
table
that.
it till we can get them both together.
Okay.
Yes,
That's your motion.
That's my motion, yes.
Okay. We have a motion to table this, and go with Norris and Morgan here. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now I'm gonna go to this list. I think that's what's next on my. Well, actually it wasn't. Matter of fact, this isn't even on, a lot of this isn't even on there.
I'll be actually, you say.
Yes, sir. Update on old fines, we have the county attorney here. We've actually authorized him to start trying to collect old fines. Now, I have found out, and I'll just put this out there, we're down about 1 million from what we were last year. We're down to around 10 million at this point, we were at 11, maybe 12 last time. So, you wanna give us a little update on that?
Everybody can look at the book. These are all this is all about standard fines, double-sided and like size 6 font. So there's a lot of people to collect from. The issue is trying to find people who wouldn't be judgment proof, is what we call it, as in like they got something to pay. And one of the main ways I could try to collect would be to garnish their tax returns. I need to see if they file taxes. I'm hoping the PPP stuff coincides with a lot of filing taxes this year. But I'm just gonna have to start throwing different rates of garnishment out there to see what comes back. They'll just be like fishing.
Right now, he hasn't really gotten started, he just got everything lined up.
Oh, I guess
You ain't collected a million.
excuse me.
You have not collected a million.
Oh no, that is not me. That's just the good citizens of Mississippi County paying their fines.
I mean, oh, they have paid a million.
Some of them have paid, yes.
All right.
What was Dave's, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what he was asking.
She asked if I collected the million that reference.
That's
Okay,
fine.
that's what I, okay.
But he said it's good citizens of
Just automatically paying.
What technical issues he's running, he's still gotta find a bond.
Yeah, I gotta get a surety bond to the state. So I'm
And then
considered a
we
private
can
attorney.
start working on this.
So, the fees collected. or had to be inflated, he's doing great.
We'll see if we pay.
Alright,
What'd you say?
We'll see if we pay.
Well, I thought you said something was getting paid good.
There's that one last issue of like, I don't know what to do with my clients, my criminal defense capacity or people with funds, but we'll figure that out when we get to it.
so anybody have any questions on that? I'll let y'all ask him anything you want to real quick.
How fast can you get them all done? No, I'm kidding.
He's only asking me.
I'm done right now.
Alright, next thing we have a ballistic vest grant that we received this year. If you look on the sheet that I passed out to you, there's some things that are necessary to replace. It's sort of a wish list, but it's things that they actually do need. And talking with the sheriff this morning, as I explained to him, we want him to use his budget as much as possible. I'm gonna give you a little update. I'm not gonna give exact figures. I'm just gonna tell you, 3 years ago, the sheriff came in and asked for $1,000 to do drug investigation and other CID investigations. And if you would like to know how much is in the fund today, because I don't want to put it in paper, call Kelly. But let me just say, he won't be coming back and asking us for any money to continue his drug funds. And one of the things that it can be used for is to help fund anything that would be considered drug related. They have, if you look on the list, the armor listed vest, they need $25,000 in matching funds. We talked about it this morning, they're going to take that from their drug fund. They're also, if you look down there, shotguns, they're also looking at taking that from their. So what I'm showing you is they have taken approximately $30,000 off this wish list, or this list of things that they do need. And more and more they're going to laptops and patrol cars so that they can send messages back and forth to dispatch. They can run their own license plates from the car. Am I wrong about any of that?
That'll be technology down the road.
Right.
Okay. But those are things that you're looking to be able to do.
And they can do the instant reports from the cars, e-crash, their accidents from the cars. Not have to go all the way back to everything.
The portable radios can actually, since we have moved this over, that can be taken off this list because they need to replace, they do need to replace 3. And as you can see, those are $18,000 for 3 of them. But that would be in the package for the radio system. And if they bought them, these would be, now I'm not sure these would be the newest and greatest, but we know that will be. They're asking for some radar units. They get calls from citizens asking them to come run radar on their particular road. Maybe Blake or
I like, both Newport Steels and Big River Steels call me all the time about slowing that traffic down out there. We don't have the officers to stay out there 24/7, neither does the state police. But, when we get that occasion, they can go out and do traffic control, speed enforcement out there. Now, that doesn't mean they're gonna write a speed ticket necessarily. At least try to get their attention around these places. And then occasionally I'll get a call in a different part of the county from a citizen that's, requesting some speed enforcement on their road or what have you. So that's the reason we got them in here, is not to go out and, be highway patrol or state troopers running radar. That's not our goal. Our goal is to address these complaints from time to time, mainly from the steel mills and other citizens in the county in certain areas. So that's the reason that is in that request.
Writing a few tickets every once in a while, help pay for them.
Well, I mean, you can write tickets, you can write, just because you stop somebody for speed, you don't have to write a speeding ticket, you can write a warrant, or it's probable cause to check for other things too, But, I don't want the public to think we're gonna be out there writing, speeding tickets, everybody's still looking for thieves and dopers.
Any questions on that? Just gonna sort of go line by line. We talked about, of course, the armored vest, we talked about laptops, the portable radios, radar, PBT, that's a portable blood alcohol testing. He's asking for 3 of those. Anybody want to speak on that one?
I would just like to have one for each of my shifts. We only have like one of those, and they come in very handy when you get them for EWI. Put one on each shift is what it's about to do.
So there wouldn't be one in every car, there's gonna be one on every shift, okay.
Very, very good.
I hope so.
City County, you ought to have that one.
It is.
Really is a lot.
I didn't look to see how many they requested. I wouldn't have a problem boasting that.
I wouldn't either for something like that, cause if you only have one per shift, and you've got it in a car that's 30 miles away, and you gotta stop, that's a long way for
So
somebody.
he's off, or something, you gotta pass it to somebody else on the ship, and then be off on the ship.
Yeah, we could look at that, increasing that 3 to 7, that would give them 2 per shift.
Yeah. I think that would be more.
What they do now, do they have to carry them to the jail, is that how you do it now?
Yes, you have to go get a blood alcohol test at the jail.
At the jail,
You still would have to do that. This is a one on the side of the road that gives, it's just another tool.
You're not gonna be drawing blood though.
No,
That's right.
Breath
Okay, breathalyzer, okay.
No,
It's a breath test, a bill PC, it's highly admissible.
it's not admissible in court, but if you get somebody and the officer's not totally sure after he does his field sobriety test, I always, with the state police, I did a field sobriety test and I used PBT.
Yeah.
To give me another, indicator, should this guy be taken to the jail to get the regular blood alcohol test?
Right.
And if he doesn't, if he passes that, well, hey, you're not going to jail.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't use a portable breath test in court as evidence. You can use your field sobriety test and the blood alcohol test at the jail. So it's just another tool in our chest.
Any other questions? Number 6 is shotguns. Like I said, some of their shotguns are old. I think they're looking to replace about 10. But once again, this is something they can use drug enforcement money on, or they may have other avenues to replace that.
Well, can I say this? All right. A lot of these drug arrests, a lot of them have weapons. So what we've been allowed to do by the courts and the state, if we've got somebody that we can trade those old weapons to, that's how we're picking up a few other pieces, trade them off to another gun dealer to get what we really need. And we don't have to spend any money for it. So that's how we've been upgrading those things. Like this past year, we got the rifle, the sniper rifle, that way. Traded some in, he gave us enough money, or not money, he just swapped it for this other rifle. So it didn't cost anybody any money.
Any other questions on that or anything? Spike strips. They're asking for 12. That would give them 4 per shift. Is that correct? 3 per shift. That's correct. I'm sorry. Spike strip is only advantageous if you can be in front of the car. I'm speaking from experience. In a chase at 100 miles an hour on the interstate, you can be from one end of this county to the other in 20 minutes. With a spike strip, you try to get to a bridge or an overpass and spike him as he goes over it, so you can clear it for your cars to pass. If this chase starts on the north end of the county, right, Burdett, headed north, if you've only got one sitting there in the south end of the county, they're useless. If they're on the west side of the county, they're useless. But if you got three, hopefully you're gonna have them stationed north, south, and west. I'll talk about that one, because like I said, I've done a few night chases, and I've actually spiked one for the sheriff's department or state police. I don't like playing with them because they're sharp.
Well, the fact of the matter, there's a lot of cars out there that'll outrun them.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the vehicles that the police departments have right now.
They can't outrun the radio if you get a spike.
Some of them can. The sheriff will tell you, some of them can outrun the radio. We had one come through Manila not too long ago. I was sitting at the teller's window at the bank. He had to be doing 100 miles an hour when he come back in a 45 zone. 5 minutes later, here come the Lakeville police. They had started pursuit, and they was 5 minutes behind him. And I don't see how you get that far behind in that short pursuit. But that guy right there, he got away with it.
Don't ever chase a motorcycle, man.
I'm not gonna chase anybody, I'll tell you that.
No, but everybody understands what spike strips are for and how they help us and be safe, right?
Yeah.
And if you spike a car, you know, they pull out of the mat and spike the tire and let the air go out quick, right? And then we can go back to company if we lose 10 of them out of a strip, and they replace cylinders, and they replace some spikes, you put it back in the spike strip, back in the car. So those pieces are replaced.
They're reusable. So I think if you have any questions on those, the spikes are hollow. If they get all four tires, it's a controlled stop.
Right.
It's not like you blow a tire or even a pivot maneuver where they cause them to spin out. This is supposed to be a lot safer for everyone involved. So I guess what I'm trying to say is they cut this back quite a bit. There's 48,000. I see that they cut out another 25 and 5 for the shotguns. That's 30. 18 on the portals. That's 48,000 they cut out. And they got of course, the best grant. So actually, we're down to about 32,000. They would like to have. I guess this would be like an equipment replacement fund or equipment purchase fund to buy these additional things that help. These are a lot like the radios. They're important in that they save lives and give us a better opportunity to not have to kill somebody in the process.
Well, a lot of agencies across the country don't like chases. I don't like chases, high-speed chases. There's a lot of things that ask you to kill somebody, get your vehicle tore up, get your officer killed, or some innocent bystander. So these spike strips are something that help us stop that and avoid chases. Just like what Justice Fleming said, no, I mean, that's totally crazy, right? But people do it. And if you spike them, you know, with a big hole in that spike, it lets out the air pretty quick, but it's not like it just totally blew out. So they just go down fairly fast, uniformly. So it's a safety tool for us.
So are we wanting to go through with this right now? Is that what we're asking for, Rick? Justice Ash.
I think these are things that we need to look at quickly for them. You know, I can definitely stand up for the PVT, the strip stripes, spike strips, the radar units, you know, the laptops. We had to put them in the car and wire. We actually run a tag from the car. They could send us a secure message so that, you know, if you had an armed robbery going on, they could actually send it out and it didn't go out of the break.
What was the additional amount that you was looking at, 30?
Well, it looks like when I added up, they had 93 up here, took the 16 off. I'm trying to figure out where I came up with that difference. But it's like 45,267.
Yeah,
Okay, additional
Now,
to
and that doesn't include additional PVTs. That's just the 3 PVTs.
And if we added 4 more, that would put 2 on each shift, is that correct?
Do you need 2 on each shift?
I tell you what,
The
Back to
PBTs?
the PBT.
they could be used because I
Okay,
normally
I could see
split,
that.
the guys up, one on north end, one south end, and one in the middle.
Okay.
So if I put one on the north end car, one south end car, I have pretty much covered.
What was on, added,
If
I
you
mean,
did
addition
that,
to it.
What's another $1,200?
that would be $4,967.
I will say this, I was on this committee for 14 years. This sheriff has never come and asked us for anything that they really didn't need and really could use. It, I think everything they're asking for is, I know it's money, but it's our safety.
I'm just curious, I'm certainly not questioning if they need this, that's fine, but I'm just curious, where is your small equipment, that line item that was in the budget, or is that already exhausted?
No.
So it's not exhausted
A
on your
lot of
fund?
these funds are gonna come out of our current budget. I don't really wanna get into it in detail.
Okay.
Chairman actually alluded to it early on in the meeting, that Quorum Court was gracious to give us $1,000 line item for, drug investigations. Before Dr. Cullum came on the Quorum Court, and there was some group of people trying to block us from doing that, right? And I had to fight like crazy to get that $1,000 in, right? Well, I don't need y'all to give me $1,000 anymore. We built that up substantially because of all of our drug arrests this last 6 months, and particularly this last big one we got. Some other people didn't think we would ever survive. We knew better because I had the man that started the program years ago, and with our other street crimes guys out here making these arrests that you all have seen in the news media lately. After all that's been adjudicated through court and the money's dispersed back between the lawyers, the zone girl, the defense attorney, and then our share of that, we built that up a lot. But he's not gonna put that out now. If you wanna know what it is, you can call Kelly. But we're not.
No, I was just questioning the actual budget
And let
figures.
me, well, let me ask you something else here. They're also trying to replace their handguns this year,
That's right.
and he is taking that out of his equipment. That's not even on here.
Okay.
Yes, they are spending money out of their budget. I asked them, that was what, I'll be truthful with you, they wanted all this to come from us today. After I talked with them, we're down to 45,000. So it's, they are using their budget, which is what we budget for each year. There was actually, they were gonna ask for a van, they're now gonna ask for that as one of the vehicles. So I'm trying to keep them using their budget first, and then these are things that they need.
And that's kind of what I was asking, so he's not broke, and then, so he's gonna have to come back every time he asks questions.
No,
for more equipment.
and
That's
there
what
are
I'm
others,
asking.
there's other things that they may have to replace, and we'll still have some money in the some of
That's what I was asking.
That's great.
Okay, you ready for a motion?
I'm ready for a motion.
Sure.
Alright, we're going to offer actually, the 45,000, right? Is that what we figured out?
Let me back over and look at my calculator. It's 46,967, so you want to round it
50?
47?
Oh. I was generous, 50.
Okay, yeah, well, there may be some taxes, and
Yeah,
don't
I
these
think
figures
so.
include your taxes? So there's gonna be some taxes.
That's what I do, what, 50?
Shipping would include it.
Mine
That's
just
just
can't
base
know
price.
alone.
That's just your base price.
Okay, make a motion to give the sheriff the $50,000 he needs for all his additional, 9 items here? 7 items.
Send it over to finance.
That's where it needs to go.
Yes, send it,
Send
yeah,
it to
send it on the finance.
All right.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to second, is there any other discussion? Sheriff, can you, Jake actually typed this up, can you take it down to the items that we put in there, increase?
Yeah, which one were you?
We increased the penalties to, 7. So they have one,
Yeah.
2 for each. And, we'll take off, armor, take off portable radios,
The van.
and shotguns. The van's not on here. Yeah, for some reason it didn't do that.
Well, we did that at all.
Yeah, we talked about that this morning. And then that'll adjust the figures and we'll ask that to go to finance. Any other questions?
Ready to send it to Kelly while I'm done with it.
Yeah, she can send it out to the floor, or she can send it over to Mike.
So just to make sure I understand, it's like just adding something to the sheriff's county general budget, is what this.
All right, I have a motion and a second, no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Does anyone else have any old business?
Yes. We didn't talk about our hands yet.
Well, we mentioned you were, that's coming out of your budget.
It is, but they need to be aware of that.
Yeah, go ahead and explain what you're doing.
Okay, we're in the process, matter of fact, I already ordered to change our pistols out, the ones we got now are, oh, Rob, they, 7, 8 years old, whatever. And our group out there decided we wanted to update our pistols. So we've got currently, Glock 40s, and we're going to Glock 9mm. So, a salesman in the state that we met with back in January at a sheriff's conference, made us an offer on, he's been trying to get me swapped to, and just not get with them all. But anyway, it's gonna cost us, what was the figure, $12,000 difference. We trade our pistols in, the new ones are like $480, $90. He's given us, $225 for our trading, okay? And he'll allow all of our deputies that want to buy their current pistol to buy that one back, you know, at $250. If you mark them up $25, it's like the state place with it. So it's gonna cost us like $200 per pistol to get a brand new pistol. Right, after we trade ours in and so forth. And we've got the money in our budget. I just wanna be transparent, let you all know what our plans are. They're ordered, they're probably still couple of months out before we get them. That means I've gotta change the ammo too, and we're planning on using that up before we, get the new pistols in. But I wanted y'all to know we're upgrading our pistols. And that's been one of my platforms since I've been in office, to continually upgrade our equipment as we go along. As money allows and so forth, so that's what we're doing. And it will, allow them to have more rounds on their belt and their pistol than what we're running with the 40. The ammo will be a little cheaper. I wasn't really sold on it up front, but as other agencies going back to this 9mm with a higher, better ammunition, put it that way, then we decided, hey, to go with a 9mm. And it's a little lighter, so a female can shoot it easier than a 40 or 45, like I was accustomed to with the state police. And it's a lot lighter, they can shoot a little more accurate. So in the pistol shooting, you're not gonna shoot across the field for 100 yards, it's gonna be up close. So we're in the process of upgrading our pistols to the 9mm.
Are those the Glock 42s?
No, they're Glock 45, is the model number. Who?
Glock 45.
The Glock 45 is the model number, it's a 9mm.
Okay. You come out with new.
They have some of the new ones.
It's a new weapon, got a longer, pistol grip.
Most all of
Do
the
you like
local agencies
Yes.
already went back to 9mm.
It'll fit in the same holster we already.
So I don't have to switch holsters, I don't have to switch magazine pouches, so that saves us some money. So we're upgrading our equipment continually, and I just wanted y'all to know, so we're transparent. I'm trying to keep this department up in good shape and good equipment as we go along. Get the cheapest money that we can.
And I know that Waddle switched last year back to 9mm guns. So if they get into a situation, they can't sort of change clips now.
And the states switched, years ago.
They went to 9. Anything else?
I don't think, before, when you adjourn, I have an announcement to make.
Wayne, did you have anything else?
Yes, we had, put in for a courtroom security grant. that we were awarded, and we put in on behalf of the Osceola District Court, and we were awarded $11,520 to upgrade the security for the Osceola District Court. We've been awarded that, now we're just trying to figure out how we need to get the money to this. Whether it needs to be, whether the bill, since the check was made out to Mississippi County, whether the bills need to come to Mississippi County, or whether we can pass it through to the Osceola District Court. We're still trying to figure that out.
Really, the way it's a grant, we'll be somehow handling the money passing through our
Correct.
finance.
Correct.
What do you want, Billy?
I'm sorry?
What do you want? You gonna run it through?
Well, we talked to the auditors and AAC, and they seem to think that since the check is made out to Mississippi County, that we should pay bills through our normal AP process. So but we're still trying to figure out if it needs to be, what fund we use, and just a couple of different things. We just couldn't get it all wrapped up before this last finance meeting, so I think it'll be next.
So is this something we should pass over to the finance committee and let them?
Yeah, it'll have to be appropriated and.
You got your motion?
I guess I did.
You, Joe, or Fred need something?
I don't understand the motion that we're trying to make, if you'll
All
know
right, the grant money.
how we use it.
We're just recommending that
Finance,
goes over to finance.
yeah, go to finance.
I'll make that motion then, that we send it to finance.
Second.
There you go.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I just wanna say that the sheriff, remember, ever since he got to be sheriff, a little before he got to be sheriff, I think he got to be sheriff, something happened down in West Memphis. And, somebody had to they didn't have to upgrade guns, and somebody had powerful guns than they have, so I thank you for keeping up on that.
Thank you.
I remember that well.
Yeah, okay, he's trying to keep it up, so hey, what more you want, so.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Anyone have anything else? Accept the motion to adjourn.
I can motion with adjourn.
We are adjourned.
All right, I have